and welcome to the Gaia update for the new moon, Taurus new moon on May 17th, 2015. I'm Adrienne Elise. Well, I'm calling this new moon and Mercury retrograde that happens the very next day a goddess healing. And that's because there's a lot of goddess asteroids playing very prominently right now. And the first one to look at for that is actually Venus, our divine feminine goddess planet herself. Now, she's in Cancer, which is a very nurturing, mothering, emotionally looking for emotional balance type of energy. And so Venus in Cancer is very good for our ability to love ourselves, to be compassionate towards others. But the interesting thing is that this Venus in Cancer, so nurturing, but it's opposing that Pluto in Capricorn. And so this is the very last trigger of these square of these planets. Now, astrologers, so we know that the Pluto-Uranus square has been happening since 2011. And this, they've been very close in square. So astrologers say a 6-degree orb, so that's 3 degrees on either side. So the official day when this happens is that they move out of this 6-degree orb is on May 25th. And so this Venus trigger of this square is the very last one, and very fitting for us to be able to find this loving compassion for ourselves as we go through, and for the planet and the other people around us as we go through these massive shifts that are going to be coming to the surface, coming to light as these planets separate, because we talked about how in the 60s these planets were together in a conjunction, but it wasn't for a few years after they separated, in the years after they separated out of that conjunction, that we saw the social changes that were attributed to these powerful players. And so here Venus is opposing that Pluto, the breaking down of structures in Capricorn there, and then a few days later comes into a square with Uranus. And so Venus indeed is really triggering this and kind of sending it off on a beautiful note of being compassionate for ourselves and others as we move into these powerful energy of change. So part of the reason that this is happening is because Pluto went retrograde last month, and so that is what's moving these planets out of square. So when Mercury goes retrograde, it's joining both Saturn and Pluto in retrograde. Saturn, our taskmaster, work, duty, karma, and also Pluto, the underworld. These are in retrograde. So this is the internal process that we're working on. And the Mercury retrograde, Mercury wants to understand. It's the messenger. It's allowing us, in its home sign of Gemini, the analyzer. This is a great desire to understand on a deeper level what's really going on within ourselves and the wider cosmos. And so in addition to Venus being activated, we have Vesta. Vesta is conjuncting Chiron right now in Pisces, and this lasts for, we're feeling this influence pretty much this whole month of May. Vesta is the sacred fire within, the Vestal fires. And so it's an incredibly creative energy, creative passion, but also with this element of service. And so with Chiron right there, Chiron is the wounded healer, and we're being asked to delve into these past wounds, to see the jewels and the benefits, the gifts there are gifts that are available to us in this, from the work that we've done in the past that was probably often painful. And so we are unearthing the gifts of everything we've gone through and being able to see that this is how we get to sacred service. So the deal with Vesta and Chiron, what it's working out is that sacred service in the past has meant sacrifice. Sacrificing who we are, sacrificing our life force for others. And that's no longer the name of the game. As Chiron gets reoriented out of the wounded healer and the healer, the healed healer that's helping other healers actualize into their potential. Vesta is activating this part of ourselves that wants to delve into our deepest passionate gifts, that creativity, and use it to be of service in this powerful time on the planet, but not from a place of sacrifice, from a place of dedication to the truth of who we really are. And so those planets in Pisces is definitely reevaluating the past pain, the wounds of the past age, and uncovering from the trauma the gifts of what we've learned to be able to move forward in a whole new way. Now that is being addressed with the dwarf planet Ceres. And Ceres is associated also like Cancer, but it's an earth, an element. So it's an energy of nurturing, mothering, sustainability, agriculture, the simple pleasures of life. And what a beautiful picture for us is this comes into a harmonious trine with the North Node in Libra. So the North Node is a very slow moving back and forth energy over a certain area of the sky. And what this represents is said to be our future karma. And so with the North Node in Libra, our future karma is indeed about relationships, but also equanimity, finding balance, being able to see both sides of the situation and harmonizing. But definitely the focus is on relationships. So what does this mean? What relationships? There's many levels of relationships that we're looking at, but Ceres is kind of an interesting player right now and leading the way, a perfect energy really to lead the way into our future, because there's recently been discovered these bright lights on Ceres, and it's a mystery. And the only way that these bright lights can be explained is through the other colonies existing in our solar system. Now, this information has been incredibly suppressed from us starting back in 1947 with the first UFO crash public at Roswell. Now, the reason all of this information has been so suppressed is not because of the aliens or the extraterrestrial influence, but it is because of the technology that's available. And so it's this technology that Ceres is leading us the way to be able to reclaim for ourselves and come out of the slavery, come out of the quarantine that humans have been put under, thinking that we are all that exists. And so everywhere in the news, if you look like right now, NASA is slowly disclosing more and more information about finding life outside of what we know to be true. And gradually, Ceres is leading the way into this disclosure that actually extraterrestrials are among us, and we are extraterrestrials. Nobody's really native to the Earth, and actually there have been extraterrestrial influence in our government, secret government structure, keeping us in slavery, keeping us paying for power that we have had the technology for free energy for a very long time. And so Ceres trining that North Node is speaking to us about our relationship with the greater cosmos. The future is about us opening up to our relationships, that we're not alone here on the planet. And but also at the same time, with that Uranus and Aries, and that's being triggered with that square from Venus, and that's all, we're also being asked to examine our relationship with ourselves. And then Venus bringing that nurturing and that compassion. And so the other thing, so what's going on is all these planets, that's kind of the backdrop, and then this new moon is happening in Taurus, but shortly after that, the sun is going to move into, of course the moon too, but the sun is going to move in for its Gemini cycle. And also Mercury is at home in Gemini. And it's just kind of wild if you look at everything that's happening right around the time that Mercury is turning retrograde. We've got this new moon, and we've got the sun moving into Gemini. We've got Mercury in its home sign of Gemini. And guess who else is there? Mars. Powerful action planet. The warrior part of ourselves is there. But the fact that it's right there with this Mercury turning retrograde, it's really about, it may bring feelings of like, Mars is ready to move forward, to understand. Gemini is a sign of analyzing, understanding, and intellectual power. Now, what if we could take that intellectual power towards understanding what's really going on, to be able to spread the truth and set ourselves free into our golden age of humanity that is destined for us once we can handle the truth, once we can face what's been done to us and understand the bigger picture and move forward into these new technologies technologies that are available to us so that we can solve all of the problems on the planet and move into a new time. But this takes disclosure and facing the truth. And what this means for us in our being is facing the truth of our own negativity, facing the truth of our own quarantine. We've put ourselves under our own control mechanism, keeping us from the technology that's available to our bodies. Because guess what? That same technology that has been available to us all of this time that's been suppressed is this geometry available to us in our physical body. So we are a microcosm in our energy field as well, our microcosm of the cosmos. And so this creation technology that's available to us, we're going to begin to understand part of the reason that it's been so suppressed as well is because we can easily have an understanding of how to access that level of power in our own body, in our own energy field. And so this Mercury retrograde is just this, and Mars right there is really about this deep desire to understand the truth, to have a fight and a fire around this understanding. And so even though Mars wants to move forward in huge ways, Mercury retrograde saying, no, we don't have all the information we need. We've got to rethink, reanalyze. So this is a great opportunity, of course, to understand with that Chiron and Vesta, the wounds of the past and what gifts those give us. So maybe in the collective, the woundedness of us being a slave race, coming out of that and recognizing that we are our own universe. We are our own empowered whole within ourselves. So it's a very exciting time for humanity, but also it can be kind of soul pain to be able to go through these changes. There's a lot of symptoms that come with these enlightened energies as they come into our lives as we adjust. And the whole planet is kind of collectively going through these changes, and especially accelerated by these Pluto and Uranus moving out of the square. It's a whole new game now. And Mercury retrograde is in Gemini is going to help us understand what's really going on. Now, the other interesting thing that's going on is these other asteroids that are right there doing this dance, just as Mercury turns retrograde, the whole last part of May, 2 asteroids are playing very prominently also in Gemini. And these are Eros and Sappho. Now, Eros is associated with the energy of Cupid. And so it's pretty interesting if you want to know a person's sexuality orientation as far as like their own kind of issues around sexuality or how sexual they are and that kind of thing in a person's chart, you look to first Mars, the placement of Mars, and then also these other two asteroids are very prominent. And Vesta also has the same energy, but in a very different way, of the creative fire within. So both of these asteroids, Eros and Sappho, represent this deep, passionate vitality and how that expresses in our life. But Eros is Cupid. So these are the arrows, the arrows of passion, and so it has this powerful energy of almost like Cupid is blindfolded, the blindness of love, blind passion, but also this incredibly creative vitality. And of course, with that can come energies of sexual objectification. And so then Sappho is associated with same-sex relationships. It pushes the boundaries of sexuality for us. It's also about romanticism and a great kind of romantic yearning for love and union. Both of these asteroids have this. So we have this interesting yearning for union, this passionate activation of both our creative passion of service and with Vesta and Chiron and healing those wounds, but also Eros and Sappho, the creative passion within, and also the Sappho is associated with bisexual energy, and so it's pushing the boundaries of our sexual identity. And that's really interesting with that Uranus and Aries redefining ourselves as a part of a grand, bigger whole of beings out there in the universe that we're about to meet, and redefining ourselves in our own relationship to our own sexuality. And so it's a really powerful time. It's also speaking to that Chiron, the woundedness, and that Vesta right there, that perhaps our gifts are hidden underneath sexual trauma and shame and pain of the past. And so we're kind of reorienting all of these issues. And with this year, 3 Venus-Mars conjunctions is saying that indeed we are looking at the male and the female within us. The relationship, the main relationship is to ourselves, and also the male and the female within us. Now that Libra North Node wants to harmonize. It's saying we have to work with others. We have to figure out how to work together in this. But that Uranus in Aries is saying, me first. Me first. And so it's kind of neat that we're having this balance going on, and then that Venus triggering that square is saying it's okay, we can support ourselves, we can be compassionate with ourselves through these changes, through unveiling, clearing this trauma of the past and finding the gifts that lie underneath. And Gemini, the sign of the twins, is pretty much appropriate because that represents the duality within us, the male and the female within. And so, but it's an air sign. So it really wants to understand and analyze. And Mars there in Gemini is about intellectual power, So this is a war of information. And so it's a war of information harmonized with a nurturing of Ceres and the sustainability of Mother Earth energy, of harmonious growth and new directions, especially with that Venus in Cancer. And so it's this information war that's going on as we start to learn the truth about what's really going on, but also this call for this relationship to self, relationship with the male and female within, and then this yearning for relationship with others. And how do we reconcile this? Now, the solution, the kind of little part that makes it all make sense, is this powerful conjunction between another of the goddess asteroids, Juno, in conjunction with Jupiter in Leo. Very powerful. Now, Juno is about committed relationships, and it's about deep soul connections. And unfortunately, because that's how we get our karma, that's how we get our lessons, a lot of those deep soul connections end up having situations around betrayal. And really, if you think about it, our whole basis of society has been based on competition and betrayal. And so that, of course, is our mode of operating as well. But the stars are saying it's time to find a different way to be. And it's really neat because that Juno, that soul committed partnership, that yearning for that, and that's business partnerships, friendships, and also intimate partnerships. It's just that deep soul connection. And so that with Jupiter is our expansive desire to understand the wider cosmos, and it's right there in Leo, which is the sign of expression of the sun. The sun is illuminating this energy of we need to illuminate our expression of our spiritual seeking. And so with Juno there, it's saying that we have a great opportunity to find these soul partnerships, what I call our soul team, to be able to have these different type of commitment. It's not based on waiting for the betrayal. It's based on knowing that this person has the same ideals as you, and that has pieces of the puzzle that you're also working on. And so it's just this deep healing commitment, a soul commitment of team partnerships, your soul team, finding them. Now, this is greatly augmented by next month. We're already feeling the energy, and we had a strong action of these planets back in February, March. But Jupiter is trining up with Uranus, and this is supposed to be, Uranus is lightning fast change, and Jupiter Jupiter is the planet of magic and luck. And so together, this is kind of like synchronicity and magic. So through this whole next month, it's a great time to be open to the messages and watch for these people to show up in your life. And these are people that you might not know, but when you meet them, you've known them for a long time. And Juno is bringing this element of deep trust outside of the paradigm of competition and betrayal, which has been dictating our reality for so long. But humans, that's not the truth of us. And we now get to remember who we really are and be able to operate more on the level of what Ceres represents in this beautiful, giving, sustainable, nurturing, simple life. A way to move into the future with this incredible technology, but as a way to bring us back to Earth, as a way to bring us back to reality. And so what a powerful time we're in. This Mercury retrograde is this internal vision quest, analyzing our relationships, our commitments, our commitment to ourself, our sexuality, our relationship to our sexuality, our relationship to the male and female within. And so there's just a huge time where Mars is kind of activating this battle of intellectual understanding, battle of our identity with that Uranus and Aries, triggered by Venus. All of it with this goddess energy supporting us and moving forward in a whole new way into this new era, into this golden age. All it takes is for us to be willing to face the truth, the shadow within, as Scorpio is getting ready to move back into Scorpio until September. And so this is kind of rehashing those shadow sides. And indeed, a lot of this is about sexuality. And in ancient Egypt, sexuality was how the mode, the energy, Kundalini rising into the higher chakras, that's how we activate that higher technology available within our own body. And so indeed, we need to clear all sexual trauma and reorient ourselves in relationship with sexuality, coming into true innocence in order to move into this new age. So I hope you have a wonderful Mercury retrograde. It should be different because Mercury is in its own sign of Gemini. And so it shouldn't be so glitchy, but if it is, that means it's time to just stop and meditate. It's time to think. It's time to understand. It's time to write. The written word is really important for these air signs and bringing forward this understanding. So have a wonderful Mercury retrograde deep into the mysteries of you and the universe as we step into this most amazing golden age. And thank you for playing your part, showing up and being who you are, being the light on the planet. And until next time, blessings on your journey. I'm Adrienne Elise.